everyone. Are you feeling super stressed and out of time? I'm Crystal. This is Megan. Today, we're going to give you some practical strategies to help you better manage your time and energy so you can get those workouts in and you can take care of yourself. If you have any questions for us, we're going to pop our contact information into the video description and you can just reach out, but we're going to get right into this. Like I know for myself, there are some things that I do that basically guarantee that like I'm taking care of myself and I'm not stressing about too much on my plate, missing workouts, not being able to take care of myself and eat the food that I want because I'm out of time. I would say that that has happened enough, maybe in my 20s and 30s when I was a little bit more disorganized and, partied a little harder or whatever. Those negative experiences, those feelings of I'm screwing this up, really allowed me to pause and say what's important to me? Cause I hate feeling like this, that feeling when you miss a workout or you and I'm not telling people don't rest. That's not the message, but I am saying if you're sick and tired of feeling like you can never get that workout in, you're always stressed, you're always pushing, it might be time to look at how's your time management?
And I think where people get to this point, or for me, it was I'm sick of my own bullshit. I'm sick of spinning my tires. I'm tired of myself and wasting my time. I'm putting so much time into this stuff and I still feel like I'm behind. I'm stressed. So you kind of get sick of yourself and ideally do something about it.
Exactly. You know what? You nailed it. I think that that's actually a major catalyst for people is when they realize they have that agency, when they realize they are their own barrier. And so we have that moment of clarity and we realize this is fixable. This isn't happening to me. I'm choosing this. And you can actually restructure and organize your life in a way that allows you to prioritize your goals and still do some of those things maybe that are causing a little bit of the the stress, if you will, kind of whether it's social engagements or whatever, but strike a better balance. And when you come to that, when you have that moment, life gets better.
It does. A lot of the times we feel like we don't have the time, but it's because we have all of these things floating around in our head that we don't know when we'll make time for it. But a lot of those tasks are really quick. It's just a matter of sitting down and doing it.
And doing it. Yeah, I agree. And setting some boundaries. So I think that's when I'm talking to clients about why are we not getting our workouts in? Why are we feeling stressed? What are the barriers? That's something that comes up a lot. I will talk about setting those boundaries. So for me, for example, in terms of how I organize my life, because I'm sure people look at me and think, well, you and they probably do the same thing for you. You're a coach, you do fitness and nutrition for a living. We don't
have kids, so we have more time. And we've also prioritized this for so long and made sacrifices that not everyone will be willing to make.
Yes. And yes, 100%. I think people assume that just because this is what we do for a living, that it's just so much easier for us. And I can tell you there are plenty of days, even yesterday, it's fresh in my mind. I had to drag myself into my workout. But one of the reasons why it happened is because it was scheduled. It's not that I had this burning desire to do it or that I was super motivated to go crush some gymnastics. I actually was not. I was questioning, am I getting sick? I felt really, really tired, but it was this is the time that I have allocated to do this. So that's a big one. And I'll say that to clients, schedule your workouts. That is something that is so incredibly helpful because relying on when I feel like it or when I feel good in the day isn't good enough, even for professionals. We have to schedule it. So I think that's a big one.
It is. And I'm going to take it a step further and say that I had my stuff scheduled for a long time where it was 9 a.m. I'm going to get this done. That's where it fits. It allows me time to shower after, blah, 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 get ready for the day. But then I would go in and I wouldn't really have a plan. I would know today's pull-ups and I'm going to do this, but I would kind of do 4 sets, 5 sets, whatever. But I wasn't invested or I'd waste time on my phone between. So taking it all the way and having a plan. And even for me, if I'm alone training, writing it down on the whiteboard. I started telling
Love
myself,
that.
if it's written, I will do it.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and that's taken me the further distance. So that taking it all the way, knowing exactly what's going to happen, removed the anxiety around, I don't know if I'll waste my
Yeah.
time and spin my tires again.
I love that. It's kind of like going grocery shopping without a grocery list. You're like, I'm here, but
And then you go to the grocery store for an hour and you don't leave with
yeah.
things you
You
need.
leave with nothing that you need
Yeah.
and everything that you don't want to eat. It's so
Yeah.
true. Absolutely. Another thing I do is I live by the night before rule. So I
Nice.
do as much as possible in my life in advance because I hate being rushed and I hate feeling like I'm frantic, like especially if
Yeah.
I'm like going into work and meeting with clients and stuff like that. Like, so I like weigh and measure my dog's food the night before. So my
Yeah.
dogs, their food is measured. If people think that's nuts, I have giants. I manage their health and I weigh their
Yeah.
food because there's nothing worse than
Yeah.
a giant that has to lose 20 pounds. Trust me. So we've been there. It wasn't fun. So dog's food is done the night before. My
That's
clothes
awesome.
are. It makes
Yeah.
it so I get up at 5:10 in the morning. I take my dogs out. I come inside. Their food is ready. I put it like
Yeah.
it's just like it makes things seamless. The
Good.
coffee is already ready to go. My clothes are laid out so I know what I'm wearing and like I don't have to think about it. Then I get to sit and I get to have a cup of coffee myself before I
Yeah.
go and greet clients and I'm awake and I'm
And you're
ready and
not rushed. But yeah.
I'm not rushed, right? So
Yeah.
everything is like planned in advance. And I think
Yeah.
like that's like on a micro level, like the day before, but you can
Yeah.
take it further. And this is something that I talk a lot about with clients is like you want to get to a point where you're looking at your calendar for like the week and the month. And that's
Hmm.
when you know you've arrived, like in terms of planning where
Completely
okay,
agree.
I have these
Yeah.
social events during the month on these days. How does that fit into the picture for the week, right? So, like, oh, I know that I'm going out for dinner
Yeah.
and drinks. So then all of a sudden, you're not that person that's like, nutrition didn't go the way I wanted it this week because I
Yeah.
had like this many social events. Like, that doesn't have to happen.
Yeah.
And further to that, I think this is key. That's where the boundaries come in. So I like to joke that there are like yes man people out there. I am a no thank you ma'am person. So I will
Start with
say
no and then yeah.
I'll say no a lot. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
and I do that to protect my time
Yeah.
and to like not feel stressed, to not feel
Yeah.
like I'm constantly making other people around me happy. And it's not like at the expense of like preserving relationships. Like the relationships that I have, they understand like this is the
Yeah.
person that I am. Like I like to say like my friendships thrive that I have just because they exist. I don't
Yeah.
constantly need to be watering them like, oh, better go out for dinner. And like, it happens when it happens. And like, I taking care of myself and like, saying yes to the things that are important.
Yeah.
Yes, that happens, but like it fits into my life. I want to be able to have time to take care of myself and do the things that are important to me and not
Yeah.
constantly feel like I'm putting myself and the things that I want to do with health and nutrition and fitness on the back burner because it's
Yeah.
like I got to make other people happy. I'm just not
I'm
there.
so on the same page and I mean, you kind of go through waves of relationships sometimes because not all relationships will last those changes that you're making.
Yeah,
And I gotta say, like when I lost a few relationships, which I would rather not, but when I
it
did,
happens.
I felt free to be myself even more because trying to
Yeah.
please someone based on what they believe a friendship is versus
Yes.
I am very confident in my relationships. If I don't see you for 2 years, I feel the same for you when I see you again. I still
Yes.
have those feelings. I don't need to constantly water it. So if I
Yeah.
choose the gym more and they can't understand that this is what makes me happy in life, then
Yeah.
bye.
I
Sorry.
totally. Yes.
And
And
I
like
don't want to, but and I will still
yeah,
like, but I still love you. And if you don't love me, like it's okay.
it's okay.
I
Yeah.
don't know what to say.
It's so
Yeah,
true though, Megan. You outgrow people and like, and
yeah,
there are those friends that maybe like you don't have like a ton of, maybe like the health and fitness isn't like a shared mutual like interest, but you have other stuff that is worth preserving. And if it's
yeah.
a good, like solid, it just works, right? Like you guys have that
It
mutual
does.
understanding. But if if somebody is like basically like they're essentially a barrier, and
Mhm.
sort of their demands on your time are becoming a barrier to the things that
Yeah.
you want to do, then we start to question, like, is this like a mutually beneficial relationship? And you're allowed to outgrow people, and like, and it doesn't even have to be from a place of like there
No,
doesn't need to be animosity. It's just like, oh, we've
absolutely
realized
not.
that like we're going in different paths, and that's okay, right? It's like
For
it
sure.
especially as we become adults, it happens. But I think like that's a really important part of like the health and fitness journey is like, yeah, having those boundaries. And it kind of
Yeah.
circles back to some of the stuff that we've talked about in other episodes when we talk about like your peer group and your environment. And so
Yeah.
you naturally start to gravitate towards people and communities that
Yeah.
have like that like-minded goal, and that those shared interests.
You
And
do.
it becomes much easier because like, you
Yeah.
know, the folks at your gym, like they understand why you're going to bed at 8:30, 9 o'clock. You don't, you know, no one's asking you to go out and
Yeah.
party and stay up, like, because you're all kind of on that same path, right? So
Totally. And
that
parents
in
too.
itself,
Early bedtimes for their kids, they tend to be a little more understanding as well. And you know what?
totally.
I would give them the same grace. I just try to, whatever I need from someone, I also would want to reciprocate. So if someone couldn't see me for months at a time, I would give them that grace and I would not guilt them about it. And
Absolutely.
because that guilt, it adds to stress to know that you have like a friend back here that needs your attention and you just can't get on with what you need to do in your life without
Yeah.
thinking about that. That's a terrible stress to put on someone. That's not kind in my
Oh, for
opinion.
sure. I totally agree. Yeah. So I think like if a client was to come to me, or someone like a friend or people were just looking for advice about like, hey, like I'm feeling like really stressed about not being
Mm.
able to like get those workouts in,
Yeah.
to be able to prioritize my nutrition, like what should I do?
Plan.
I would say plan. Like basically these are the strategies that I would
Yeah.
use. I would start by planning ahead. So can you sit down, like look at your calendar? You're going to plan your workouts. You're going to plan what those workouts are. And if you can't do that, you're going to hire someone to help you do that, because
Yeah.
that's an investment, not just into your physical health at that point, because if you're stressed, it's also an investment into your mental and emotional health. So you're going to plan those workouts. They're going to go
Yeah.
into your calendar, and then you're going to do everything you can to make that easy. So that's laying out your clothes the night before. That's
Yeah.
making sure that you know what your food is for the day, based
Yeah.
on your work schedule and when your workout is happening. That's looking at your calendar, knowing when you're grocery shopping during the week. That's looking at your
Yeah.
calendar, knowing when your social events are
Yeah.
happening. And that goes into that piece. You're setting boundaries. You do not have to say yes to everything. In
Yeah.
fact, your health and fitness requires that sometimes you say no. And
Yeah.
then that last piece is, where are you spending your time? Can you get into an environment?
Yeah.
Can you get into a community
Yeah.
where your goals are supported by
Yeah.
like-minded individuals? That would be, I
Yeah.
think
And
we probably agree on all of that.
I agree. And just take it the distance. I say this because it was probably only in the last 2 years that I took it a step further where I did see the difference in that like little those bouts of anxiety that you feel that kind of keep you up at night or they come right in the middle of the night when you wake up. It
Yeah.
was not just meal prepping for the next day because that didn't make me feel better because I'm like, I got to get home and meal prep again. It's like, take it the distance, go for the whole week until you have your Saturday off or whatever it is again, and finish those meals. Don't leave them in pieces. Try and
Yeah.
actually make them unless you have a lot of time. And then for me, I just go a little further every few
Yeah.
days or months or weeks, whenever it is. And now I prepare like 4 protein shakes for the week before. I got a bunch of shaker
Perfect.
cups. They're all
Awesome.
ready for 4 to 5 days, depending when I can stay at home and do my preparation again.
Yeah.
So take it further. Don't leave it until you have to run out the door. That
Yeah.
doesn't feel good, and you're just setting yourself up.
Yeah. Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah, you captured it. I mean, the further ahead you can get,
Yeah.
the better you'll feel, right?
Yeah.
And I would say too, lastly, that practice makes perfect. So you actually
Totally.
have to work at this a little bit, like any
You
other
do.
skill. Being organized, planning ahead, prepping, it is a skill. It
Yeah.
takes time. Some people are naturally very good at it. If you're kind of like, you know, if you have that inner monologue that I'm a frantic, disorganized person, and like, and maybe you are, and but you
It's
keep
a
telling
choice
yourself
more than you
that,
think.
yeah, yeah, you could. It's an acquired skill. It is
It
something
is.
that you can get better at. So,
Yeah.
and certainly again to that point, like this is an area too, like if you need help, ask for it. And that's like, because there are
Yeah.
people that will help you. So yeah, so I think that pretty much like sums it up. And again,
Yeah.
if you are watching and you're thinking like, oh God, that like really describes me, our contact information is in the video description. You can reach out. We'd love to share some more strategies that could
Absolutely.
help you out and sort of address your personal barriers. But yeah, I think that about wraps it up for today. All right. We'll see you guys next week for Unload It.